Didn't think that thumb would ever go up. Okay, well, I'm going to begin my talk this morning by just explaining how I came up with today's talk title, Sweet Baby Jesus. Or better said, why I came up with that title. And just before December began, I mentioned here one Sunday that I was feeling the sweetness of people more than ever before, the sweetness of everyone around me. I mean, here at LEC, there was so much sweetness, so many sweet gestures, so much love, and it was just warming my heart, and it continues to warm my heart, and thank you for that on this day. That, feels much better to have a warm heart. But as I was going to the market and going to the stores, even before Thanksgiving, I began to just notice all the sweet gestures of people towards each other, even though at that time it was starting to get busy and stay busy for the holidays. There was still a sweetness that seemed to fall upon everyone, and I started thinking about it as like sugar on a Christmas cookie. It was just, everybody was just sparkling with it. And so before the month, as you know, I picked the titles at the beginning of the month, and then they just go. And so as I was coming up with titles for this month, I knew that I wanted to have the word sweet in all the titles. And so I waited for something to come up, and just the two that we have came up. And I waited a long time for two more, but didn't happen, and that's okay. We had How Sweet It Is at the beginning of this month, and when Sweet Baby Jesus came to mind, I knew it was going to be the talk right before Christmas. So here we are, the Sunday before Christmas, and I want to invite us to consider what the idea, what the symbolism of sweet baby Jesus can mean to us as we continue our journey of discovering more of the Christ in us and living as that one while we live our earth life. So I know that many of you know that my mama was born in Lafayette, Louisiana, lived there her whole life. Matter of fact, she didn't leave the state until she was in her early 30s and met my dad, and they decided to go west and start their life in California. And even with all her years in California, she retained her Southern accent and most of the sayings that she said her whole life. And as I was growing up, I heard them all. And one of her sayings was Sweet Baby Jesus, which was for my mother a phrase that indicated something not so sweet had happened or was about to happen. She said, Sweet Baby Jesus, when something dramatic happened in our family or something traumatic happened in the world. I mean, it could have been a train wreck somewhere or some other disaster, or it could have been just something as simple as someone not showing up at the house when they were supposed to, and she was convinced that something bad had happened to them. All I know is when my mama said, Sweet Baby Jesus, I knew that something not so good was happening somewhere. So this morning, I'd like us to focus on the something good that is always happening in life every moment, and to consider the sweetness that has always been attributed to baby Jesus. I mean, why is it with all the prophets and mystical teachers and holy men and women and miracle workers since ancient time to this day that we know about, we've become aware of only as they were adults and active in their work? And it's been said that Jesus was actually 30 when he began his work and his ministry. So why is it that the birth of Jesus is one of the biggest celebrations in the Christian world and even in the secular world? We read in the Bible, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace." Now, that particular passage is from the book of Isaiah, which was written approximately 600 years before the birth of Jesus. And it might have been a prophecy, but it could very well have been a testament to what happens when Christ is born on earth in the awareness of any of us. I mean, the way of the heart tells us that the Christ within us, our true self, the child of God, the offspring of the Father, calls to us to be recognized for what it is in us, as the awakened master living within us as our true being. And that the presence of Christ in us is there to inform our every step, which is another way of saying is there to govern our life, which is what was said about the Christ 600 years before Jesus was born. The way of the heart tells us that as we recognize the Christ in us as our inner being, it will inform every decision like a wonderful counselor. That it will inform the quality of our perception like a prince of peace. And it will inform the very nature of us forever, like a mighty God and an everlasting Father. It wasn't until I found New Thought that I began to look at the Bible and read the Bible and see it as often historical, as sometimes prophetical, and mostly metaphorical. That I could see that the birth of sweet baby Jesus, conceived by a virgin, offers us a beautiful metaphor for innocence and purity. The birth of any baby represents innocence to us in a way that nothing else does. Whether it's a human baby or a baby animal. It's there in all its sweetness and all its purity, faultless in every way. That's a baby. And no one judges a baby, no matter what it does. Every sound and expression is precious. Even when it's irritating, it's precious. And we don't wonder what motivates a baby when it smiles or giggles. Is that really sincere? We're just happy that we're there to witness it. And there's a line in the Christmas carol, The Little Drummer Boy, that many find especially moving. It's when the little drummer boy is playing his drum for Jesus, and the line is, "And he smiled at me and my drum." It would have been a really nice scene, and it would have been a really nice song, but not quite as moving. If Jesus would have been an adult smiling at a child playing a drum, but it was a baby smiling. What moves us is the guileless innocence of pure love in the smile of sweet baby Jesus and in the smile of every baby. There's nothing that lifts our vibration and spirit more than that kind of innocence directed towards us. When a baby smiles at us, wow, we feel great about ourselves. And nothing uplifts us more, though it doesn't often happen, to experience even an adult focused on us with a judgment-free gaze. Just for a moment, that someone sees us and loves us without one judgment in their heart. When I was younger, that's not how this starts, but my son was younger too. And when he was about 16, he had a friend that was named Frank Barajas. And they were bandmates, and they were great friends. And Frank had lost his mom when he was 14 years old, and he was helping to raise his younger brother. And Frank was the nicest young man that you would ever want to meet. He was always smiling, always in a good mood, and he was kind to everyone, whether it was a kid his own age or an adult of any age. And though he spent a lot of time at our house, I've never, not once, heard him say a negative thing about anyone. And I mean, I had a teenager. I knew it. It isn't always easy to be a teenager. So one day I asked Frank how he kept such a good disposition all the time, no matter what. And he said, "I see everyone as a baby. And it's easy not to get upset when everyone is just learning stuff and doing their best, the best that they can. No one really means harm to anyone. Not really. They just don't know any better. This was a 16-year-old kid. I believe, and I know, that it was Frank's judgment-free mind that allowed him to see the innocence in everyone else. We read in the book of Philippians, "Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus." Frank did it naturally, and we can too. That mind, the fundamental energy of life that Jesus called the Christ mind, is within us all, right now. It's the spark of divine light. It's the spark of life. And it's the true state of our reality. We were born of love. We are living in a universe of love every moment. Love is available to us, and we've all got what it takes to live as love, which is to say, to live judgment-free, which is another way of saying to be as sweet in our gaze towards others as sweet baby Jesus. The self that calls us, our inner being that lives in us, is already in that deep place of innocence. It lives, it exists in a judgment-free zone. And that zone lives in us. That vibration lives in us. That vibration is the vibration of life in us. And when we answer the call to recognize it's there, even if it's just for one judgment-free moment, the Christ in us sees the Christ in the one who is standing before us and gazes at that one without judgment and with pure love. When that happens, we give birth to Christ on earth through us. Namaste. All righty. Well, I'm just going to say thank you again. We rock. We are just such a, I couldn't imagine a more beautiful group of individuals. I am, oh jeepers. I love you so much. And I feel that this is the foundation of our growth. So we can only get more beautiful as we grow. And I know that who we are collectively, who you are individually, is drawing more people to us. And it's a beautiful thing. So thank you for being you. And thank you for showing up from wherever you're showing up to be with us today. Because you are special too. That you chose to be here and to join us. And I hope that someday you'll be able to join us in person too. But if not, we know we're one together in this life. And as you know, for us to continue doing what we do and feel warm while we do it, and have lights while we do it, and have a camera going while we do it, It takes financial support, and thank you to all of you who do that. Thank you to all of you who watch live stream or on video and support us financially. It makes a difference. And if you're someone who has found us just now, or you're someone who's been listening and just wondering if this is where you want to give your support. Well, if you've decided that, yeah, you'd like to, but you haven't been paying attention to how to do that, then our elf, who is also our treasurer, is here to tell you how to do that. Jamie Phillips.
Okay. Well, speaking of innocence, I have to apologize to my brother, Jason. I know you're watching this. Because last night at our annual Christmas Monopoly game, some 14 of us played the game, got a little crazy, and I put a curse on my brother. So Jason, I apologize. I'm taking the curse off right now, and I hope you're feeling great today. Okay. He was going to come in person. Well, he was cursed until I just took the curse off him. Okay, if you would, no, I know. They have to cut me off a little earlier. Okay, if you would like to donate to the Life Enrichment Center, there's several ways to do it. You can go to facebook.com/Life Enrichment Center. There's a donate button on that page. You can go to our website, lecflint.com, and there's a donate button on that page. You can do PayPal, which our email address for PayPal is lec2512@gmail.com, and you can donate to us there, or you can send us a check. And our P.O. Box is Life Enrichment Center, P.O. Box 321294, Flint, Michigan, 48532. And if you're here in the sanctuary, we're going to do an offertory while we listen to Marcia Allen sing In This Very Room, and then that'll be followed by gratitude prayer by Reverend Stephanie. Thank you.